Today I decided to give you guys a ranking of the Batman actors. For this list, I'm only going to include the actors that were in live action movies, so there won't be any Kevin Conroy on this list. I think Kevin Conroy is an amazing voice actor and the best voice that Batman has ever had. But I'm only going to stick to live action performances here and not voice acting, so he unfortunately doesn't make the list. I know he did play a live action Bruce Wayne once, but like I said, only sticking to the theatrical performances for this one. So you still will see Adam West on this list because he was in Batman the movie in 1966, and you'll see the other iterations from Michael Keaton onwards. So without further ado, this is my favorite Batman actors from worst to best, starting with George Clooney. Now, I have nothing against George Clooney as an actor, even though he's not really one of my favorite actors, and I think that he was not a bad casting choice for the character, but it was just executed very poorly here. For one, his Bruce Wayne is just kind of chill and nothing really that interesting about him. He's just kind of a rich guy who seems to be pretty relaxed. And his Batman is basically exactly the same, only in a suit. The whole movie just seems like he doesn't give a crap and he'd rather be anywhere else. He almost seems kind of bored and is kind of just reading the lines. When it comes to Batman, there's three different personalities. There's the Bruce Wayne the public sees, there's the Bruce Wayne that Robin and Alfred see, and then there's Batman. But they're all the same in this movie. There is no third persona. His Bruce Wayne is the same whether he's at home or out in public. And Batman, well, it just feels like Bruce Wayne wearing an outfit. It's very unfortunate, but it is the most lackluster of the Batmans. And although I do get some enjoyment out of Batman and Robin as a guilty pleasure kind of movie, there is nothing redeeming about Clooney's performance as the Caped Crusader. Definitely the worst, and I'd be surprised if it ever got topped.
I freeze. I'm Batman.
Up next, I'm going to have to go with Val Kilmer. His version of Batman is basically more serious than Clooney's, and he has stoicism to him that I kind of enjoy. He's not overly serious to the point of being boring or anything like that, but you can tell he's got kind of inner demons and he somewhat keeps to himself, but he still goes out in public and does try to put on a face. However, his Batman just leaves a little something to be desired. There are some hokey moments like him smiling at the camera, but it does seem like he is trying and giving it his all in the role. But you never get that sense that he's like get all enveloped by the character like some of the later performances and even a few of the earlier ones. He's just kind of a middle of the road Batman. I don't even think he's a bad Batman, just a little bit forgettable. And I think that Kilmer, while does a decent job as Bruce Wayne, his Batman is just kind of there, kind of standard, and nothing really that sticks out. An okay Batman and a pretty good Bruce Wayne. Up next, we're going to have to go with Adam West. Now, some people might put this at the bottom of the list because Adam West is a very kind of kooky and silly Batman, but that was basically the nature of the show. They were going for like a comedic style of Batman. Unlike Batman and Robin, which switches tones between serious and goofy and then just is tonally inconsistent, this film, as well as the TV show it's based on, is just going for the laughs. And Adam West magnificently plays this silly version of Bruce Wayne. I just love the way he talks with the whole, "Alright, Robin, let's go save the day." He's literally like a corny comic book come to life. And at the time, the comic books that Batman was based on were pretty corny. The 50s and 60s Batman, as well as Superman for that matter, were very silly and over the top. And though Batman is seen as a darker, more macabre character overall, there was a time where he wasn't, and this kind of encapsulates that era. It's definitely not for everyone, but from the overly serious yet deadpan humor that he presents as the character, it's just really great. His Bruce Wayne is basically just there, doesn't really add anything to it, but it really does give it all as Batman. And even though it may be silly and it's not for everyone, it's very entertaining.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Next, I'm going to have to go with Robert Pattinson as Batman in The Batman. I really would put this one higher, but there's one thing that's kind of holding it back for me, and that has to be his Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne in the movie is just kind of there. He basically has no personality to speak of when he's out in public among other people. There's literally a scene where the mayor in the movie talks to him and he doesn't even say a single word back to her. And he does come across as a bit edgy and emo-ish, for understandable reasons with his parents dying and all that, but the Bruce Wayne leaves a lot to be desired in this movie. Even the scenes where he's just being himself around Alfred played very well by Andy Serkis, by the way. He just seems kind of aloof and doesn't really seem like he wants to be there. It's like he just wants to be Batman all the time. I do think that's kind of what they were going for, and maybe he just hasn't really opened up. But considering the fact that the character is probably supposed to be around 30, you'd think he would at least try to be more sociable and at least hide his inner demons like some of the better iterations. Having said that, though, he does rank higher than the ones below it because his Batman is pretty damn awesome. He creeps around in the night. He looks great. He moves with a certain sort of intimidation and presence that's really great. And by the end of the film, he does seem to try to win over the people as well. And they don't look at him as just some creature of the night, but also someone who can help the innocent. It's a difficult balance, and this does have the potential to go higher. I have to see what they do with the Batman 2. And like I said, there's only one movie in. But I think if they could work on the Bruce Wayne character and maybe have him portray himself better in the public eye, I probably could see this one rising up among the list. But as it stands, it's a really solid Batman, but kind of a underwhelming Bruce Wayne. Even though that may have been a stylistic choice, it doesn't quite work for me.
Vengeance.
Up next, I'm going to have to go with Ben Affleck. Now, I do think that the movies he was in were a little bit lackluster. I do rather enjoy the Ultimate Edition of Batman vs. Superman, but the Suicide Squad was pretty bad, and the theatrical cut of Justice League was not great either, although I do enjoy the Snyder cut. But having said that, I think that he was always good in those movies. His Batman has like a level of intensity and anger to him that we've never really seen before. This is Frank Miller Batman, basically, on the big screen. His Bruce Wayne is a little bit standard, but he does have that rich guy kind of persona. There's a scene where you see him sleeping with some random woman because he's basically just like a playboy. And it really does add to the character. It's not my favorite Bruce Wayne, but it does kind of fall in line with that playboy aspect of it. And his Batman is just brutal. I know that some people don't like it when Batman kills. Personally, I like both versions. I enjoy Batman that kills, and I enjoy Batman that doesn't. And I know if we're going by the comics, he typically doesn't. But having said that, I enjoy it either way, and I think both can be very compelling. This guy lays waste to so many dudes in this movie and kicks so much ass, and I find it very entertaining. Other people may roll their eyes at that, but it is just my preference. And I really do love a hardcore ass-kicking Batman who really just wastes him efforts and doesn't give a shit. But there's also a good story reason for that, because he lost Robin, and he kind of went over the edge. And I do like to see a Batman who basically stepped into the abyss, so to speak. Not a perfect interpretation, but a really badass version of Frank Miller Batman if Frank Miller's Batman killed that.
They told me the world only makes sense if you force it.
Next, it's the Dark Knight himself, Christian Bale. Christian Bale, I think, is a great Batman, although I do have some problems with it. I really enjoy how his Bruce Wayne is serious and wants to get vengeance for his parents. And I also like that he's kind of more laid back and chill when he's around Alfred. He plays the playboy aspect of Bruce Wayne very well when he's public, and he plays the troubled and angered man very well when he's around Alfred. And his Batman is pretty damn badass as well. However, there's a slight caveat, and that's the voice. In previous iterations, the character either wouldn't change his voice at all, or would do like a slight whisper or just something to slightly alter it, which I always rather enjoyed. Christian Bale opted to do a gravelly, growling kind of voice, and it worked somewhat in the first movie, but it gets more and more silly as the films go on. When he's just talking with a gravelly voice, it is okay, but it's just kind of silly, and it still makes me laugh, even though the movies are supposed to be serious. It was a style choice at the time that made sense. They really wanted to separate themselves from the overly comical Joel Schumacher films, and for the most part, I think they did a good job, but that gravelly voice still makes me laugh, and it does hold back the character some. But apart from that one small gripe, it's a great Batman, played magnificently by Patrick Bateman himself, Christian Bale. An enjoyable, suave, and also badass look at the Dark Knight, and probably the most realistic version we've gotten to date. Just a great performance by Christian Bale, and one that I do really enjoy.
I never knew. I don't know. I swear to God.
Swear to me!
But coming in at number one would have to be Michael Keaton. Now, there are more badass Batman, such as, I would say, Ben Affleck, and there are more Playboy-esque Bruce Wayne, such as Christian Bale. But whatever I like about this version that Tim Burton brought to the screen is Michael Keaton's version is basically Batman all the time. And I don't mean he's constantly dressed up like the character. I mean, for him, it's all a means to an end. And he even says in the film that he doesn't know how this is going to end, possibly with him dying or just doing it as long as he can. But this is all he has left, and it's all consuming for him. Him as Bruce Wayne is just to hide his identity. And even as with Alfred, it's all about getting back out there and saving the city. We do see hints of this with the Batman, but when it comes to Michael Keaton, I just feel that his character truly lives to be Batman, and I find that very compelling. There's even a scene that I absolutely love in Batman Returns, where he's sitting in his office in the mansion, not doing anything, just pondering, and then when the bat symbol hits his face, he immediately springs to life, and it's like, time to do what I do best. This is what I'd live for. It's a little harder to explain, but you watch those movies, you really see what I mean. He is Batman, and he has been forever changed by what happened to his parents. And even in the Flash movie, where we get to see him again, he still portrays that very well. Like, this is what he lives for. There's even a great scene in that movie where you see him stitching himself up in the bathroom, and then he kind of looks at himself in the mirror, and he gets like a slight little nod, kind of smile. It's like, that's right. Like, the fact that he's hit back in the cape and cowl is really gives him a reason to live again. I just enjoy that. For the other ones, it does seem like there is a slight split between Bruce Wayne and Batman. But here, whether he's in the cowl or not, he's still Batman. And to me, that makes him so interesting. He is also a killer, much like Ben Affleck's Batman. But again, that doesn't really affect my enjoyment of these characters. And I like a Batman who kills, and I still like a Batman who doesn't kill. They're both great in my opinion. So all in all, even to this date, after 3 appearances, Michael Keaton still takes the win as the best live-action Batman.
What are you? I'm Batman.
Well, that's my list. If you'd like, let me know who your favorite Batman is down below, or just give me your own list. I really do enjoy the live-action Batman movies, even the ones that aren't good, like, say, Batman and Robin, I can still get some enjoyment out of. I thank you all for watching, and peace out.